Music Production.
All right, let's break down some Bitcoin here. So this is a chart that goes back to 2014. I tried to find one on TradingView that goes further back. Couldn't find it. So we'll just use this as an example for now. I think this will have like it'll get the gist of what I'm trying to say across, right? So essentially we look at this chart back in 2014, and from the very highs it made, we came down to a low. It went back like 84%. Then we have this huge, insane uptrend. We go up like 8,000%, right? But it goes from 19,000 back down to 3,000, right? So that's like another 84% drop. Then we had a nice little rally in 2019, and then leading into the COVID crash, right? We dropped like around 69%, 70%, right? So here we are now. We have this big push in price, went up around 1,200%, and we double top around this area. If we look at the monthly time frame, right, it's a double top. And it's also the first time in a while that we're going under the 8 EMA on the monthly time frame. So when we zoom out to the weekly time frame, and we get a gist of how far we're down 66% right now. So what could happen here, right? What's going on with Bitcoin? Now, I'm not going to go into like the details of why Bitcoin is a good investment. It just, you need to do that research on your own, because I personally don't think that I'm that great at explaining it. And there's a lot of way better YouTubers out there who could give you very detailed reasons on why Bitcoin is a safe investment for the future, right? And the whole idea behind it being deflationary. It's essentially a limited supply asset, and like you don't really find that too much, right? That's why it's so volatile. And over time, right, as demand picks up, and I'm going to pull up this chart real quick. So this is like essentially it's the global adoption rate of Bitcoin. So essentially, like, we really haven't even gotten started. Like, that's what it's saying. Like, in terms of people using Bitcoin or investing in Bitcoin, or like if you get what I'm trying to say, it hasn't even started yet. Like, that is absolutely insane. So this is definitely a long game, right? This is a long game. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin is like it's growing faster than the internet grew back in like 2000. Like, it's just crazy, right? Like, there's too many variables to not at least consider this as a potential long-term investment. It doesn't mean you have to throw all your money in it. Like, only invest what you think is worth, right? But whatever, we'll get into the details here, right? So I'm looking at this chart straight up, easy peasy. This was 2017 highs. So 2017 highs, right, brings us right around 17,000. So from 19,000 to like 16,000. It's like a $3,000 range. We're likely going to go back into that zone, it looks like. All right, so here we are, we double top, and it looks like we could potentially be coming right back down into that zone. And if that doesn't hold as our support, what we're going to use to see is this zone then, which is 11,000 to 13,000. So there's two areas that I'm really looking at, and I will be gathering Bitcoin at both these levels for sure. But that's how I'm looking at it. It's pretty simple for me. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. If we look back, right, 82% would bring us right back down to this range, this area, right? That was a solid resistance from June 2019 to essentially one full year. So it'll be interesting to see if we could come back down into these levels. We might not even come back to them, right? People might think that 18,000 is way more of a reasonable price for Bitcoin. Then again, we'll have to see, right? But I don't think this is right now the environment to think of it as a trade, right? I'm simply thinking of this as like, okay, I'll add in $1,000 here. I'll add in a few $100s here, just dollar cost averaging on the way down, focusing on certain targets. So my targets for sure are 18,000. This is where I plan on adding a decent lump sum. And then if we come back down to 10,000 to 12,000 range, maybe 13, that's where I plan on adding more. Again, this is long term. I'm not looking at this. I look at this monthly chart and I'm just I try to like not close my eyes. I need to look at the chart, but like, you know what I mean? Like if this is what's going to happen and does something like this, we could have something like that coming on in the future where this ends up going like this. Where by 2030 this thing's at like 300,000, right? And then by the time, right, like that's like a really ridiculous trade, to be honest. So I'm thinking long term. Like I really don't care about the price right now. This is a long term investment. If you understand kind of like the printing of money, right? And how essentially any currency essentially fails over a long period of time. And you think about, well, what's going to happen to the US dollar? What's going to happen to the Canadian dollar? Like, if they fail one day in the future, then what's going to be the currency that people desperately like need and use because it has value? And like the big sleeper here is Bitcoin, right? So long term, like this is how I'm kind of looking at this chart, like straight up. Say we downtrend up until March 2024. Then like after that, it's gonna be see you later, because actually that's a pretty interesting line. I almost want to leave that there for all of eternity to see what happens. But like that's how I'm looking at it. This isn't like a trade right now, especially with this market environment. But yeah, I hope this kind of helps. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't really panic at all. Um, you invest what you can afford to lose and what you think is safe. Have a plan, and then stick to the plan. Right? Like, I think that this is such a low key investment, and so many people won't do it that like it'll be like unreal to see it play out. Like, and I'm kind of excited to see the future of what Bitcoin has to offer. And I kind of, well, I understand, right? Like I definitely want to be holding this long term. Like it's no question for me. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Peace, guys.